What is going on, Movie Meals? Movie Meals. We're here for the pod. Thank you, Movie Meal patrons, Kimberly and Karen. Guys, we're gonna give one of these hoodies away to. Let me just show it off a little bit here. We're gonna give one of these away to a fan who's been commenting, liking, subscribing, and supporting us. Once we cross that 2,000 mark, help us cross that 2,000. Help us do that. Very comfortable. We're filming this on Superbowl Sunday, Niners, Chiefs. That's why I'm repping the birds. Always got to be repping the other team. Kyle, who you
That's
got?
what I should do.
Seahawk fan over here. What do you got?
I'm going Chiefs.
Chiefs? As you should.
As
I'll
I
never root
should.
against Andy after what he did for Philadelphia.
True.
But that's about it. We're here to talk lots of different things. There is supposed to be, normally Kyle and I get together and review a bunch of trailers. They used to do literally 6-7 years ago, they would show like 4 or 5 movie trailer clips, and then all of their trailers would drop, and Kyle and I would review and react to every single one of them. And then it slowly turned into them just doing these little teasers where every now and then a big one might drop. And so we started reacting just to the teasers and everything when there were kind of bigger Marvel stuff coming out. Now, unless it's a full trailer, I don't see a reaction, but there's supposed to be a full trailer for Deadpool 3. We'll probably get the teaser. It'll say trailer out, full trailer out now, and then it'll be out. So I'm looking forward to that. We should hopefully be able to do that. Super Bowl starts late for me, so we'll see how tired I am by the end of the long game. So there's no reason. Monday should be a holiday. Either Monday needs to be a holiday, or you need to make this game like 3:00 Eastern time. So then it's at like 1 and then 12 for the rest of the country. So that way you have time to recover. That's what should happen. You know what I mean? But anyway, let's get into the rest of the stuff here. Thank you, my patrons. Go get some merch, all that good stuff. I'm tired today. I gotta look up Kyle's list. Kyle, go ahead. You saw Lisa Frankenstein, right? Is that what it's called?
I did.
What'd you think? I haven't been to the movies in a while. What'd you think?
I thought it was cute. Nice little rom-com. Stop. That's so nice.
Reminds me of you all day, every day.
No, I thought it was a cute little rom-com. I liked how it wasn't only like a nice sweet love story, but it was also just dealing more with a girl who is trying to go through the acceptance stage of losing her mother. Her mother passes away, unfortunately. So it's a mixture of like a love story and falling in love, but at the same time, it's also a story that deals with death, or she kind of goes through the acceptance stage in her own way, in a very comedic way. But it also has elements of horror throughout it, which it's not like scary horror. It's just more like low key imagery stuff that'll like get the rom-com audience like grossed out at times for like comedic effect, but it's by no means like a scary movie. But nonetheless, I thought there was just some nice touches here and there that gave it a bit of a bite to the movie, and otherwise it would have been just a rom-com through and through. But I don't know. I thought that was pretty good. Otherwise, I thought the jokes landed. First 20 minutes, I was a little concerned because it didn't feel like the jokes were landing or they were edited quite properly to have like the right tone the story is going for. The jokes weren't quite landing at the beginning, but I think once the premise of the movie really starts kicking in and you see the lead character finally come into her own in a sense, then that's really when the best stuff starts happening, and that's the bulk of the movie anyway. So hang tight in those first 20 minutes, I would say, because otherwise it fleshes itself out very well. But otherwise, I think editing could have just been a little better to make the jokes and the delivery of the jokes land just a little better, which I think is kind of something that I see with most comedies, that ability to be able to edit the joke just right isn't quite happening currently. But this movie is able to find its footing after the first 20 minutes. So yeah, I say go check it out if you want a nice date night.
I do apologize. I'm wearing my glasses today, so if you see reflections of Kyle or whatever I'm looking up while we're talking, sometimes I got to recheck some things, double check things, but apologies for the reflection in the screen. But I wanted to double check, so because I thought I had heard that the director of the, like, I had heard something about the director, so I wanted to double check, and it's by Zelda Williams, which is Robin Williams'
Mm-hmm.
daughter, and I think that's incredible. And that I remember
Mm.
hearing, now that I figured that out, I remember hearing something about a director, and I was like, that makes me want to see the movie. I just haven't gotten a chance to. And then rechecking why I heard something about the director, I think that's very cool. That it's Zelda Williams. I
Yeah,
know I've heard interviews where Robin talks about coming up with the name for her, naming her after Zelda after the game. I think is really
that's
cool,
right.
and
Yeah.
I love that she's getting her first opportunity. I checked that too. Is this her first full movie? And she's made a lot of shorts, but full movie, and I think that's really really
Mm-hmm.
cool. So yeah, I wanna check it out hopefully at some point here. But all right, Kyle,
Yeah.
what's next on the old docket here?
Well, one of the big important topics that we obviously need to talk about is these Dune 2 popcorn buckets that are going to be around in movie theaters. You've seen these gross popcorn buckets, I imagine, Al?
Yeah, I saw the cast kind of roast them apart too. Josh Brolin was calling anybody who uses them an idiot. I uh, I think clearly the marketing worked, man. Clearly everybody's talking about it. It's tons of free promotion for no reason. I don't usually buy the fancy buckets anyway because, to be completely frank, they're usually smaller. I'm paying way
Oh,
more money for less corn, and so I usually don't buy the fancy ones. I have a few, mainly because shout out to my buddy Dave. But when he would go to superhero movies with us, he's like, "You're gonna want this one day as a collector." So I got a couple of them. I got a couple Star Wars ones and stuff. But I saw those movies so many times. Eventually, I was okay buying them. But I think whoever came up with whoever greenlit it is probably dumb. They shouldn't have done that. But who knows? Maybe in the meeting room at Warner Brothers, Zazzy Boy is a wacko anyway. Maybe in the meeting room they were like, "Hey, this is gonna be all the talk. This is gonna be dumb. People are gonna buy this as a weird collector thing that we did. Let's do it." And so that's what it is. Not a big deal to me. But
I just think they look nasty. Which I guess
yeah,
is the.
yeah, the
I
memes are
mean,
pretty funny.
oh yeah, the memes are funny. Like obviously they're sandworms, so they're not going to look gorgeous or anything, but
We've
just the
already seen
insides
the
of
worm
them.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I guess at the very least, it's for the meme culture of it all, which is like a good
Yeah.
marketing ploy. If it feels more organic and not just like forcing itself to become a meme or anything, then it could have just been an
Yeah.
accidental marketing tool. But hey, it'll help them out, I suppose. So
My
yeah,
guess is the point of the bucket is to take the top off. That you would remove the top, and like I think when they design it, that's probably what the actual conversation was. We're going to take the top. You take people buy it, they take the top off, put it down. You eat your
yeah.
popcorn, you put it back on. It's just a fun little thing, but that's not how it's going to be viewed. So, but anyway, let's move to these spoilers. I hear you're getting spoiled already for Dune 2. You must have
Yeah,
read
I
the
think
book, huh? Got
Al,
him.
Al,
Locked
you
and
know,
loaded.
we don't read here on the channel. We only
I've read the
support
book. What you
visual
talking about?
storytelling.
It's true. It's true.
um, I've been hearing that there's spoilers running around for Dune 2. I think it happened after one of the um, press tours has been happening. There probably was a premiere of some kind, is
Couple
my guess.
critic screenings, yeah.
Yeah, maybe someone let slip of something, and I'm just saying, like, be wary of it. Like, I've started muting, Dune 2 everywhere on my timelines. Like, I just don't want to take that
Mm.
risk. I could have read the book, but I don't want to do that. So, yeah, just be cautious because I've heard that that's been starting to be happening, and we're still a month away from this movie being seen. So, yeah, fair warning.
Yeah, I read the book. To be honest, every book I read, I tend to forget most of it happening. Anyway, I know couple big things that are going to happen in the second half of Dune, and I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see some of these actors and stuff. Yeah, make sure you mute those things, but at the end of the day, don't spoil it. Like that's the thing. We're in such a spoil culture now. People filming in the theaters.
Hmm.
People are like, I got to get my reaction to this. You hop on TikTok or Instagram Reels or Facebook, whatever Reels, and everybody's posting. They're like, oh my god, can you believe the ending of this movie? And it's like, let me go see it, pal. Guess what? Let me go see it. Your views mean nothing to me. They mean
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah,
So, yeah, don't be a turd and spoil movies for people. It's stop. What are you doing? You can only spoil movies that are at least 35 years old. I think that's a good point of reference there.
sure.
You got a good 30 35 under your belt. Go ahead, spoil it all day. You've had plenty of time to watch.
You've had your
But
chances. It's just
yeah,
concerning to me
anyway.
that it's by the sounds of these press screenings that are happening so far, it's not like it's, the social media engagement farming type of crews or the influencers or whatever. These are like legitimate critics who are from legitimate publications, and somehow they're the ones that
Oh,
are letting
really?
slip.
I haven't seen any of that myself. You must
Yeah,
know some wackos.
again, I'm not finding them yet, but I've also just heard really quickly that they were out there, so I muted things. But I imagine that's these circles that have seen the movie first. So I just shake my head that even with their credentials, like they're letting slip spoilers. I think that's really lame.
The only thing I've heard is that somebody said they talked to Chris Nolan and he said this is Empire Strikes Back for this Dune movie, which would make a ton of sense because Dune is heavily gave heavy inspiration to Star Wars, so it
Oh
makes
yeah, yeah,
a lot of sense. But we hear that a lot, and it doesn't usually pan out. It's happened once or twice, but it doesn't
true.
usually pan out. But all right, let's move on. What else you got on the old list here?
Well, we mentioned David Zaslav's name already, so how about we circle back to him because there's an update on Coyote versus Acme and that Looney Tunes movie. So a couple of weeks ago, it was being said that this Looney Tunes movie that's not fully completed but is nearly completed is going to be shelved and deleted practically for a tax write-off. However, that
Yeah, they
works.
wanted
And
75-80 million for the movie, right?
yeah. And so then when, everyone made lots of noise about this movie and that it deserves to at least be sold or be seen in whatever capacity, whether it's, theatrical or streaming, Warner Bros. Said that they would try and sell the movie afterwards. So now the latest update is that their asking price was still like 70 million. They didn't want to go lower than that, but some of the other studios like Netflix and Paramount were bidding for it around like 30 million to 50 million. And so Warner Bros. Is still deciding that it's going to be shelved and
I
possibly
think it costs
deleted.
a lot to make. I think that's part of the reason that they're doing that. They're like, we got to make some of our money back. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. It still is frustrating though, because I just don't. I'm not going to pretend like I know like how budgeting and accounting works for the studios. I don't understand like how these tax write-off things work to begin with, but
No, they
I don't
shouldn't
know.
work the way they do.
True, a lot of it seems shady, at least when they're like, no, it's not illegal. When I don't know, it sounds weird to me to begin with. But even though it probably did cost a lot of money and they are asking for a lot of money to like get this movie, every movie needs to be considered that it's going to be a risk no matter what. And I think if another studio is at least offering you 20 million less than what you're asking for, like still take that opportunity to get
The
any sort of money
write-off
you
must be
can.
better.
I
The
guess, but
write-off's
again,
probably better for them financially.
I guess, but again, I'm not going to pretend like I understand
The
that. I would just
the
assume
thing
that would
about the
make
report,
sense.
the thing about the report that's also the stupidest is the report says Zaslav and then like next three guys underneath him uh, haven't seen the movie. They didn't sit down and watch it. And
Right.
that's what's idiotic. This could be a huge hit for kids and for everybody. We don't know, but it's so painfully obvious. Bob Iger went from the hero to retires, comes back, everybody's like thank goodness, and then they hate him and because he's saying all these stupid things, but even at least Bob is trying somewhat to fix his PR. Zazzy boy doesn't care. He is
Yeah.
just continues to say the stupidest things ever. Just the dumbest stuff. And he is lucky. He is lucky that Barbie was greenlit before he arrived. And he is lucky that Oppenheimer wasn't him. But he's lucky that all these things happened for him before he arrived, that he just was like, all right, whatever, keep going, and got
Mm-hmm.
lucky that it paid off. And then he gets to take all the credit for it. He deserves none of it. None of it.
Yeah.
He stinks.
Oh, yeah.
He stinks. He's terrible at his job.
Yeah.
He says the dumbest stuff. He was awful to the writers, awful to the actors. And look, do I really, at the end of the day, am desperate to see this Roger Rabbit style Looney Tunes movie? No, but it should have an opportunity. Same as Batgirl. All these other movies. Let's start suing. They shouldn't be tax write-offs. You shouldn't be able to save more money because
Yeah.
you made a product and you made a terrible decision. When I make terrible decisions, I don't get to write it off on my taxes and do that. I usually have to, I got to spend money as a teacher of my own money to freaking survive. It's absurd. It's just a bunch of lobbyists who suck. And,
Yeah.
all their bunkers at the end of the day won't matter. So nothing's going to save you from Yellowstone.
True. It comes for everyone.
And I don't mean the volcano. I mean Kevin Costner. He's on the hunt. He's coming after everybody.
I've heard he's pissed.
he's done with you, Zazzy boy. But like, it's just it's absurd. It's absurd the way they are viewing everything. And yeah, this movie deserves to be seen. All those movies that they're writing off deserve to be seen. It makes me wonder how many studios do these write-offs every year, and we just never knew. We hear all the time that movies are made, put on a shelf, and they wait for a better time, and eventually they're like, let's drop this movie. You see that with the Red Dawn remake with Chris Hemsworth years ago. That sat on the shelf for years, and then all of a sudden Chris Hemsworth blew up, and they're like, okay, we still have this movie. We didn't write it off. We wanted to put it out. It's not great. It's okay. Let's just put it out. Chris Hemsworth is pretty big right now. That's what you do. So I don't get it. But anyway, let's move on. What's next?
Before we get more depressed by it. How about this announcement from the Oscars that there's going to be a new category called the Best Casting category?
Well, I think a lot of the times directors get the praise for casting, which is sometimes the case. But you think of the first thing that always comes to my mind is James Gunn talking about how he rejected Chris Pratt over and over and over. And it was his casting director that continued to say, this is your character. This is the vision you see. You need to meet with him. And eventually he gave in, met with him. And he was like, this is my Star-Lord. Like, this is insane. Like, this is great. That casting director, I think, does deserve praise and does deserve to have her own, opportunity at the Academy Awards. And I think it should be a category. But there should be other categories in there first. The fact that sound design and sound mixing is still one is idiotic. They should be separated. They're two separate things. Best stuntman, best stunt performance. Why is that not in here? Is it because we're afraid we're going to give it to Tom Cruise every year? Tom Cruise does some amazing stuff. He's not a stunt guy, though. Let's give it to the people, the men and women who are actually literally putting their life on the line. You talk about the man who Daniel Radcliffe is making a documentary for and supporting, who played him as a child who had an accident on set and he is left handicapped the rest of his life. Those guys deserve to have the attention on them and the love on them, and they deserve an opportunity to be loved and supported by their community just as much as all these high-profile people. So I think that this is a good move, but it's not the best move. We could have had a better move to start, but I do think it is a good move. But I also, why are our show's too long? Our show's too long. We're combining categories. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to shorten the show, and then we're going to add categories. You need to add categories, but you need to, I don't know. They got a lot to figure out. The Oscars struggle. But anyway, thoughts yourself, sir?
Oscars struggle, but this is one of the few decisions I actually like from them. Although I do agree we need to have like a stunt work category immediately. Like I think you and I, since starting this show, have been saying that every Oscars, or at least we've been saying to each other in private conversation. I don't know. Everything blurs together.
Should be
at this point.
It's a big movement too by a lot of people who understand
that's good
movies and stuff, and critics who push for the stuntman thing.
But in terms of best casting, and forgive me, it might be best casting for like casting director or best ensemble. I'm spacing on now. I could probably look that up in a minute, but that category though, I think is a nice move. I think that casting directors are important when it comes to the industry, and they do help make or break like a lot of movies. I mean, every single movie that's nominated for an Oscar, I would argue, has like a terrific ensemble, and that's part of the reason why they are, nominated to begin with. So there's another awards show that does best ensemble for years now, and I've always thought it was a nice idea. So I'm glad the Oscars are doing that too. I think.
Which award show does it?
I don't think it's SAG.
Oh, they would make sense.
Maybe. I don't
It's
know. I
also
don't
tough
remember
because where
now.
do you draw the line? Where do like Oppenheimer has all these big names, and yes, they fit really well. But I would argue that Barbie, who has also a handful of big names, had some lesser known actors that I think were not as known by everybody all the time. Who wins in that one? Is it because you scored Robert Downey Jr. and he pulled off a great performance, or is it because you scored someone else that put up a great performance, or a holdovers? Like, where does that line up where you have a kid who just blows everybody away and he's brand new? It's his first movie ever. So there's a lot to put in there, but the
Sure,
casting
sure.
directors or the casting directors are the ones who get to vote on the nominees. That's going to help for sure quite a bit, and it also will add a lot of people into the voting base.
Hmm.
A lot of people who it just will expand it, make it more prestigious, make it more diverse. So yeah. Anything
Yeah.
else?
I'm glad that you mentioned holdovers actually, because I think that's a great example.
I always do.
Excuse me. In well, that's true, man. That's true. Um, I think that's a great example in like an actor in Dominic Sessa who wasn't able to get a nomination for himself, but at the very least, if there was a best cast ensemble nomination for holdovers, then at the very least, there is some way to shine a light on like the actors that don't get recognition for their performances that might get whether you call them snubs or not snubs, at least like that could be an alternative in like, hey, we weren't able to give you the nomination yourself, but at the very least, maybe for the actors, they could just think of like, well, at least we got the ensemble nomination. Like it was a team effort
But see,
anyway. I don't know.
I don't
That's
want
just
it.
one way.
I agree with you. I agree with you. But if it just turns into the Oscars trying to get more celebrities at their show, that's what I don't like. The person accepting the award should be the casting director. It should not be all the other actors in the movie. Just try to get them there. And it should be, I believe, agree
Mhm.
with you that it should be recognition for him and other people who are like, oh, I didn't get nomination, but man, my whole cast got nominated for best ensemble cast. That's great. But
Mhm.
they can go to the show. That's wonderful. But at the end of the day, it should be the casting director up there. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be the director. It shouldn't be the actors. It should be the
Mhm.
casting director up accepting that award. And if they don't go that route and they just use it as an excuse to get more celebrities on stage, then it was a big miss. It's not a good thing at all, I don't think, if that's how you're going to do it. If you're going to make it into a Critics' Choice or a Nickelodeon style award where it just isn't as precious and matters, or a Golden Globe, like that's what the Globes do. That they're an entertainment show. This is something that they put on TV because they were like, I think people would like to watch it. They need to. This is the prestigious one. This one matters.
Mhm.
So, and I like who was it the other day? I think it was Jodie Foster who said any actor, any person in Hollywood that says they don't want to win an Oscar is a liar. They all want to win one. It's a liar. They're all lying. And I love it because she's so right. She's so
Oh
right.
yeah.
You can sit there
Oh
and
yeah.
say, oh, I don't want to. You want to win one. You want the recognition by your peers. Everybody wants it in their profession. If you suddenly showed up to your job one day and somebody showed up and said, hey, you've been nominated for best at your job, you're going to be like, really? Wow, that's really cool. Like, you're going to be happy. So
Mm.
everybody wants it. Everybody doesn't always choose to make those movies or get the opportunity to make those movies that get nominated, but everybody wants it. Anyway, what's next?
Jodie Foster knows what she's talking about.
Love Jodie. True Detective
Yeah.
season 4 slaps so far.
Well, we can move on to casting announcements since we hopped off about the best cast topic.
Sure.
Tarantino's new movie, The Movie Critic, sounds like he's circling Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt for roles, but unclear on if either one of them is the lead role, which I imagine is the movie critic role, just based on the little that we've heard about this movie. But it feels like they're going to be um, involved in this movie in some capacity.
Either sounds great to me. I don't have a lot of huge thoughts on this. I think both are great. Tom Cruise was supposed to be. He was looked at for a couple other roles. I think he was looked at for one of the roles in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or something. Like, he's been looked
Mm.
at it for Tarantino before, but
Oh.
and it almost happened. I think maybe it was for Pulp Fiction or something. Like, it was supposed to almost happen for him at one point, but he had to pull out for something else. Tom would be awesome. It'd be cool to see Tom go back to something that is not super action heavy and more dramatic.
Yeah.
But either and Quentin writes comedy so well, and Tom can be very funny as well as Brad. So I think both are great great choices. I mean, they're both good actors. They're both wackos of people. It seems like, but both
as most actors
both
are.
really good actors. So
Yeah.
yeah, sounds good to me. I mean, they also were circulating our boy Mr. Hauser, and I would love him as well. He's freaking fantastic and talented. So
Yeah.
whoever. You got any insane thoughts here?
I'm excited for Tom Cruise not only to be paired up with Tarantino, but like you said, not be in a movie that's so action oriented. Not that, not that we're tired of him for doing that, but I would like to see Tom Cruise go back to like more dramas, or at least something that can utilize his skills, because he's surprisingly funny, but he's also great in the dramatic stuff too. And I just want to see him take on something a little bit different, and not just see him returning to like the action stuff all the time. I think especially after the success that he got out of Maverick, and he is getting up there in age, I could see an era coming where we see him in the more dramatic stuff again. That wouldn't really surprise me, but I'm happy by this pairing. Brad Pitt also, I'm not terribly surprised. He's worked with Tarantino many times before, so to have him back makes a lot of sense. I heard, I can't remember by what reporter now, but that the rumor was that Brad Pitt would be playing the same character he played in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for the movie critic, kind of like as like a pairing of these two movies. I'm not sure if that's true at all, but that's just a rumor that I heard. So
interesting. Well, I mean, I trust Quentin Tarantino as a script writer. So whatever he wants to put out for his final film, as much as people have argued with me before that this is not his last movie, it's his last movie. Will he come back and direct another? Very possible. But as of right now, this is the last movie he's going to be doing for a while. And then he wants to go do plays and maybe TV. And he was supposed to do a Netflix show based off the show in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood too. And that never came about. So,
right.
All right. What's next?
So Jurassic World. There's a new Jurassic World movie that's supposed to be coming out in 2025. I believe the screenwriter for the first Jurassic Park movie wrote a script for this movie, which I thought was kind of interesting. But during this week, it was announced that David Leitch was in talks for being the director of Jurassic World. And then 2 days later, he's no longer in talks with them and is out.
Interesting.
It was like Whiplash.
Yeah. Well, it was cited by creative differences, wasn't it?
That's what it sounds like, yeah. Which I'm not.
So he probably
they
came
don't go
in
into
and
detail.
said, "I want to make a good movie," and they were like, "Nah, we're not about
They're like, "Nah,
that."
we're good."
Or he wanted to make something more adult, more violent. I mean, he comes from that background. He's been making John Wick and Bullet Train and all these really great, fun, action, violent movies. And maybe he was like, "Look, the Jurassic World franchise has ended with them everywhere. Let's make it an apocalyptic movie here. Let's murder some people. Let's get Chris Pratt out of here. Let's do some serious stuff." And they probably were like, "No, that's not going to sell tickets, because most of the people that buy our movies are probably like 13, 14-year-olds who can't go see R-rated." And it's,
yeah.
Hey, look, I love Leitch as a director. I think he's really great. I think he's really come into his own. He's kind of figured out how to do action. I like the stories he's come up with. I think Jurassic World in his hands would have been a very fresh feeling direction than going back to Trevorrow or whoever else has been making them. So, yeah, thoughts?
It didn't excite me that David Leitch would have been the director of this movie, but that's only because I haven't really enjoyed the direction of these Jurassic World movies to begin with. I just am such a sucker for the original movie that everything else just fails in comparison. So with this action movie direction that they want to go with this movie, sure, it made sense to have David Leitch be attached to this. He's one of the bigger action movie directors that we have in recent years. He recently worked with Universal for The Fall Guy, so if they have trust in that movie, they probably would have been interested. Yeah, supposed to be premiering at South by Southwest, I think, so that's kind of promising that it should be a pretty good movie. But in terms of like him being attached, like as much as I enjoy his work as a director enough, I just wasn't really excited just because I'm not interested in Jurassic World and the action franchise. That's just not for me. But then again, I'm also wishing it went back to like the Steven Spielberg days, which aren't going to be happening anytime soon, obviously. Um, so probably unfair to compare those two between how it started and where we're at now. But I'm sure David Leitch would have been fine with the action direction they wanted to go in.
I mean, I'm not interested in the franchise anymore either, but you put a David Leitch as the director, and suddenly my ears perk up a little, and I'm like, oh, I want to see a
Sure.
trailer. Oh, like,
Yeah.
show me what a trailer is first. How do you sell that
Mhm.
movie? Chris Pratt riding on a T-Rex, and it's like dinosaur wars. I'm in. Now I'm back in, baby. So,
Planet of the Apes
all right,
style.
what's next? Yes.
We had a surprise announcement. Moana 2. They have an animated movie that's coming out in Thanksgiving of this year. Supposedly, they originally were making it as a TV show for Disney Plus, and they decided to squish.
Reworked it.
Yeah, they reworked it, squished episodes together, I suppose, and now it's a full-fledged movie that's coming out this year. So, at
I've
first,
been staring at the edge of the water.
oh, beautiful. Sing to me again. I kind of like that it was a surprise announcement. I didn't know that they were making anything Moana related in general, and it was kind of nice to be surprised by an announcement and not just like, we are so closely attached to like when movies are being made. We literally have a podcast for it. That was nice to be like, oh, okay, had no idea. That's cool. And then hearing that it was a TV show, but now it's being turned into a movie makes me like, we've seen that a lot with Disney Plus, whether it's a movie turned to a show or vice versa. It could go, I don't know. It could go either way with this. This could be amazing, the way like Toy Story 2 was, where it was supposed to be a direct-to-video movie and then it became a theatrical release because of how great it was, or it could fall flat on its face. So, I don't know. I'm a little mixed. I hope it's good, and it was a nice surprise at least.
Yeah, them reworking it from a show makes me a little nervous, that because shows tend to not have the same quality, especially on D plus. Their original shows are based off any property tend to be pretty blech for the most part. Even, I mean, Star Wars has put out some great ones. I think Marvel has too, but like overall not great. I know Lin-Manuel is not back. That was also in the report, that he was not back to do the music. And I saw a lot of people being like, oh, so the music won't be very good. And I saw a lot of people saying, great. But people are very confused. He did all the music in Moana. All of it. He's part of all of it. So you can't sit here and be like, I didn't like the rap. I don't like desert hip-hop. Hip-hop everywhere. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
What are
He's
you
an
doing?
incredible artist. He's in it. That's what people do. That's how they complain.
They turn to the
he's
penguin?
Amazing. And him not being back tells me, oh yeah, this is going to be, I hope this is not Cars 2. I hope this is not a bad Disney movie. I hope this is not a bad sequel. I hope this is Frozen 2. And it being a show, not bringing in necessarily Lin back doesn't mean it's going to be bad, but it makes me a little bit more skeptical. I think a surprise announcement is great, but and I think it's cool that it's coming out this year, but I'm going to need to see more. And I ultimately am just going to have to wait till I see it in the theater to see if it's going to be as good. Are they just going to rehash same songs? Who did they get to do the songs they use? Disney always tends to get really, really talented people to do their music. So I don't want it to be some people that don't, that are just kind of doing, side stuff. I want it to be, I want it to have some love behind it. But I love the first Moana. It's one of the best Disney movies in a long time. So, yeah. What's next?
Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan are re-teaming for a new movie. It's an original script by Coogler.
Love it.
WB did land the rights to this movie. So hopefully Zaslav doesn't screw this one up. But Alex just mentioned it. It is supposed to be like a vampire movie of some kind. I think it's also a period piece too, but I'm trying to find that to make sure I can confirm that. And
I love it.
Michael B. Jordan, Michael B. Jordan also playing twins in the movie.
Love it. I'm ready to see a break from Creed, to be honest. I'm ready to see a break and have Michael go do a little bit more. I feel like lately
Mhm.
that's what I'm feeling. Obviously, 2020 makes you not see as many things, but um, I think this is great. They're a great duo together. I'm excited to now see Coogler outside of the MCU. Even though I love Wakanda Forever, I think Wakanda Forever is very good, and I think it did
Yeah.
not get the love it absolutely deserved. I think it's very good, especially for the hand they were dealt.
Mhm.
And I think this all sounds great. They're a director and a actor combo that you want to keep seeing. You want to keep seeing
It's
Greta
exciting.
and Margot. You want to keep seeing Leo and Scorsese, or Leo or Scorsese and De Niro. You want to keep
Mhm.
seeing Gosling and Gosling. You want to just
Mhm.
keep seeing them together. You know what I mean? You want to keep seeing John Krasinski and his wife. You want Emily Blunt. You want to see them all. So
I just remember this. A recent announcement too was that Spike Lee and Denzel Washington are also re-teaming on a new project for A24. It's
I
like,
love
yeah,
that
I want to
too.
see I want
I
to see
saw that
those
too. Yeah.
two. Yeah, I want to see that
I think
again.
A24 and Apple. Yeah, love
Yeah,
that.
okay.
Love Spike Lee, and I love Denzel. So
True, man. Ryan Coogler, yeah. As much as I appreciate and love what he's done with the Black Panther movies, I like to see him step outside of that and do a new project. And I'm especially excited that it's like an original one again too. And like you were saying, the pairing of him and Michael B. Jordan, like they
yeah,
obviously love working for each other. So let's see that passion on display. So
and
no notes. Yeah,
who knows with this script too? You know, you're sitting there doing nothing in COVID. You're trying to figure out Wakanda Forever and all this stuff, and you're probably just sitting at home for a while. And he's probably was just, you know, maybe he watched the History Channel and saw something really cool about old school vampires, and he's like, I'm making that into a movie right now. And he just sat and
yeah,
went to work, and that's the creativity you want out of these directors sometimes. So I
true,
love it. Well,
true.
what's next? I don't think we have a lot left on the
No, this
old
should be
docket.
no, this should be our final one, I believe. It's the Supergirl announcement.
Whoa.
Uh, I almost said
Wow.
I almost said Sasha Kaye is Supergirl, but I'm reading an article and it's saying that she's not Supergirl. Millie Alcock from House of the Dragon has landed the role of Supergirl.
As
And
she
Alex,
should have. I don't
you
know
tell me.
any of the other actresses who were up for it. That's not true. I had known a few of the smaller things some of the other actresses did, but Millie was, it's Millie, right? Is that how you say her first name?
Yeah.
Oh, he's got the comic. He's got the one it's based off of. She is excellent. She is so good. And House of the Dragons, slight spoiler for season 1. House of the Dragon is she's only in the first couple episodes because then we do a time jump, and I love all of the actresses who take over. They are phenomenal when they get older. But man, I remember after 3 or 4 episodes into the time skip, I was sitting there being like, I really miss her on screen. She was
Mm-hmm.
so electric. All the young actors in that were. You go get somebody from anything involving with the HBO Game of Thrones area, you're usually going to find some good talent. So as soon as it was announced that she was in the running, not even one of the top 2, I knew. I was like, that's going to be the choice. I know James Gunn's going to want her. She's the best one. Anyone who disagrees probably didn't watch House of the Dragon. So that she is the choice. She's excellent casting. Excellent. The range she showed in just a few episodes of House of the Dragon is incredible. She'll be a great Supergirl.
Awesome. I have not seen the show. I don't really have any opinion on her in the lead role or not, but I do like the positivity coming from Alex and how talented she is. And I was referencing the book because that's the book that James Gunn is going to have this movie be based on. And if you haven't read yet, please do because it's an awesome story. It shows
I need
the
to read
character
it.
of Supergirl not necessarily being. Sorry
Wait a
about that,
minute. We
guys.
don't read on this channel.
It has
What?
pictures.
You don't
It
get to
has
yell
pictures.
at me
It has
Dune.
pictures.
You don't get to yell at me in Dune.
It's
I actually
different.
have
It has
the graphic
picture.
novel first half of Dune over here, part 1
Oh,
of
really?
the 3, I think. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
So, so it has pictures, Kyle.
If I can see it.
All
All right.
Can't see it on camera. No.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You got me there.
Wow.
But no,
Anyway,
if
it's a great comic, apparently, huh?
yes, it shows Supergirl as like having the same standards and the same ideologies that Superman does, her cousin, but at the same time, it shows her holding in trauma and angst and bitterness about what happened to her planet because she experienced her planet blowing up as a result of Krypton blowing up and not being able to not remember it as a baby like Superman was able to. Superman was shipped away as a baby while Supergirl, Kara, thank you.
Garrett
She
Danvers.
Nope, different one.
Oh, who am I thinking of?
You're thinking of Captain Marvel.
That's true.
Yeah.
Love Brie Larson.
But anyway, the book shows the character in that light, and with that much backstory and that much range of emotions that are shown within her character throughout the story, you need an actor that is able to do that, and hopefully Millie Alcock can be able to do that, which I don't know, House of the Dragon, I'm sure that there's a lot of range of emotions.
Yeah, she absolutely can.
Works for me.
Yeah. Absolutely can.
I think one thing that's interesting too is that this announcement happened before there was announcement of a director for the Supergirl movie. So it makes me wonder if like we're going to be seeing Supergirl in the Superman movie.
I think we're going to see so many heroes in the Superman movie. I think we're going to meet almost everybody. I think we're going to meet a ton of people. I mean, we're already, they've casted they cast like Hawkman or Hawkgirl. They've casted
Metamorpho,
like Green Lantern or something. They've casted everybody.
Not even the good one.
I will say this. I saw a video the other day. This is kind of off topic. Millie's going to be incredible. If you don't agree, you just didn't like that it was the girl you didn't get that you wanted. And you haven't seen it probably House of the Dragon. But
the other girl was I think a Disney Channel actress, and it was recently announced that like her Disney Channel movie is getting like a 4th sequel. So I don't think that's a good sign that she would have been. Yeah, she's busy. Maybe that's what I should say.
James Gunn was just on a podcast too, though, and talking about that he kind of had always like he requested to see Millie and have her audition. That he saw her and was like, she would be so good. I want to. So that is good. But I saw a video the other day, and it was talking about a lot of the writers for a lot of more recent Marvel stuff, Echo, She-Hulk, and more, much more. And it was a lot of the writers, and it was like a compilation. And I don't, it just was a video I happened to see. It wasn't necessarily from anything trusted, so I'd have to dig in more. So take this with a big grain of salt, as I do. But it was a lot of the writers in these clips saying they were told not to read the comics. They were told, or they didn't read the comics. They didn't want to. And the whole point was like, look at the lack of love. And well, I think maybe there's probably some truth to that. That's never been Kevin Feige's thing to hire people that don't know the source material. So I don't know if that is suddenly a true shift, then I think that has to be something other than a Kevin Feige decision myself, because that's all we talked about for years is how big James Gunn was into the comics and how big Peyton Reed was into the comics and how big the Russo brothers were into the comics. And that, I don't know. Talking about James Gunn reminded me, because I've seen him in so many interviews, and I love how open and honest he is about everything. And he's like, well, we were taking a little bit of inspiration from this comic and then this comic, and we love this inspiration, and we like what we've seen in other movies before. We're going to put a little bit of that in. And I love that James Gunn is doing that he is such a geek and a nerd. And I just love it. I still would love to see his Star Wars movie as much as I don't love Guardians 2. I love Guardians 1 and 3. I liked Suicide Squad 2 a lot. So I would love to see him in Star Wars at some point, which will never happen now that he's the head of DC. But I wish more people were like this, and they're going on podcasts when they got a day off, and they're talking about all the nerd stuff and supporting other movies. He's been talking Dune too, and he's like, yeah, I've seen Dune a little bit. Dune really good. And so I love the transparency and honesty and accountability that I think James Gunn has taken, at least from just a standpoint of seeing him as secondhand as a fan. I appreciate that. But anyway, anything else?
Yeah, it's refreshing. No, that wraps up our show.
I thought we were going to talk about the stupidity of streaming platforms going back on their word without telling the common goer.
Oh, well, yeah, we can talk about that too, by all means.
Kyle just sent me something about Invincible 2. I've had other people say this too. And I just we need to point this out, okay? Because I don't think I don't think people are really paying attention to what they're doing, because this is what they're doing. they're watching HBO and Max, and they're watching the few others that do this, that release weekly, like Disney, and they're seeing success, and they're seeing people not stop talking about True Detective, and they're seeing people not stop talking about everything. And so what they did is they said, we're going to split the final seasons of, or not even the final seasons of these shows, and we're going to put them in two parts. And it's happening with Invincible. It happened with Reacher. It happened with Stranger Things. It's happened with Ozark. And it is that. They want to stay in the narrative longer. And the only reason that it has not changed is because they know they're going to get backlash for going back on standing their ground so long of, we release everything all at once. And I don't like it. You either give me everything right now or let me spread it out and enjoy it for a long period of time. Don't make me do this half thing. It's obnoxious. I don't want to wait. Are we seriously going to get Stranger Things the final season? And I guarantee you, they're going to put it out in parts, and you're going to end on a cliffhanger of 4 episodes, and you're going to wait another 3 months for another 4 episodes. And Kyle and I started the conversation on Invincible, and I know there's a lot of talk about Invincible needing more animation help. They shouldn't have released the product if the animation wasn't ready to go. They did that probably as a scheduling thing. They went to the animators. I honestly believe they probably went to the animators and said, we're going to do this in 2 parts. Really get the first part down. You'll get a couple months to finish the second part. So there you go. It's stupid. It's stupid. It's so dumb. And anyone who thinks that's not what they're doing is an idiot to me. I don't know how you can't, like, it is so day and night that all of those streaming services that follow the Netflix platform are wishing they could take it back, and they feel they can't. So it's just stupid. Anything on that for my last little quick minute rant here?
No, it's well said. I think the splitting the 2 parts thing is kind of lame, and I also think that even if you advertise it as like the second half of season 2, audiences
that's
don't
what it
really.
That's
yeah,
what they
but
say.
I bet there could be some audiences who are like, "Is this not season 3? I thought we just had season 2." Or just there would be those types of conversations. I don't know how like many more people are going to get confused by that, but I could just see that it's a confusing tactic for some people in an otherwise lame way to spread out your narrative when we have the system right now, and it's just do an episode a week.
Yeah, just do an episode a week, or just do it all at once. Don't do or we need another month for this episode. We're gonna take a little longer. We're just gonna delay the season, which is what you would used to do in that situation. But it's stupid. Anyway,
I'm sure there's an argument to be made that like network TV does it to where you get like the first couple of episodes in the fall, and then you get the second half in like winter or spring. But you also have to think about like scheduling when it comes to like filming the shows in real time, filming the episodes in real time. So a lot of the time in like spring and summer, they're filming like the fall episodes ready to go, and then when the second half of the season rolls around in spring,
I don't know if that's fully true anymore.
It's not true anymore.
Filming a whole season in like a movie. That's the big thing that they do now.
I don't think streaming does it like that anymore. I'm just saying like the people could rationalize it as like being similar to how it's done on network TV, when I think streaming services are just different when it comes to filming things. And maybe even network TV isn't like that anymore. I don't know.
But network TV, I think, usually says that's the end of season 2. Season 3 will continue on the big cliffhanger. Like I was watching Reacher, and then it just ended, and I was like, "Oh, I was a couple weeks behind. I thought there was at least another episode. Like I waited a few more weeks so I could watch the whole season in one go." And I was confused. I looked it up, and it says, "What? What do you mean we're doing a part 1 and part 2? I don't want to end on that. Like, what are you doing to me, Paul?" Anyway,
yeah. And as someone who hasn't watched Reacher yet, I still would have. I'm sure it is. I really liked the first season, but I just have been behind the ball for watching the second season. But after hearing that it's split into 2 chunks anyway, it's like, well, why would I want to try and keep up to begin with and be with everyone else?
That's why I haven't started Invincible.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I didn't know about the Invincible thing until like, I don't know, one of the final episodes of the first half, and even though I've read it already, but it still is like, oh, that's kind of sucks. Why did I rush to join everyone else?
If they said Invincible, this is season 2. I would watch it. I would have just watched it. That is already out. I would have just watched it. And then if they said, "Oh, season 3 is actually dropping in 3 more months," I'd be like, "Oh, sweet, that's awesome." They just must have done everything back to back. But it's because they split it into parts that I know now that it's one big long narrative that I would just rather wait to watch at that point. Like, especially when I'm late to the ball game. Apple and Max are probably the two best because they do it weekly. And to be honest, they're releasing the best content right now. I don't think anyone else in the game is producing the better original content than Apple and Max. I mean, I'm on Max right now watching True Detective. I just finished Lessons in Chemistry on Apple. I want to start that Austin Butler, Saltburn, Berry Boy dancing around, Murder on the Dance Floor, Flying Airplane show. I want to see that. I want to see it all on Apple. And Monarch was so good. Oh my gosh.
Monarch was pretty good.
My blood boiling.
You're thinking of Masters of Air for the Apple show with Austin Butler. Good.
I just told you the name of it. It's called the Austin Butler talking like Elvis. It's Barry Murder on the Dance Floor.
I'm thinking of a different show then. My bad.
Yeah, I know. All right, guys, show's over. What did you think? Comment below. Let us know. I'm going to like, subscribe, and share. And as always, thanks for watching, Mom.
See you guys.